Hello GMT friends. Let's look a little bit into animation in GMT. So most of it happens in the timeline over here, and you can also press T to turn it on and off. The keyframing works with these little diamonds. So you can keyframe a parameter. Let's just pick a power, a different power. 4. Yeah. And we can keyframe another parameter. I see it's gone red, which means you can keyframe it to make it yellow. Now we've got an animation. Let's look here at the graph editor, which shows us the way our curves move. So currently you see it's just a linear curve and then bam, it stops. If we hit flat here, then we can get it to slow down as it animates. We can increase these guys. I'm holding Control Shift to constrain it. You can hold just Shift actually. Just a bad habit that I've got, because if I add another key over here, you'll see that if I hold Control it'll break the curve, and if I hold Shift it'll keep it in the same angle. And a few other hotkeys. You can press Control to create extra points. Control Z is undo, Control Y is redo, but your mouse must be over the timeline for this. If you undo over any other area, it's just going to undo your parameters. So anyway, let's delete this key and add another key over here. And because we've created a funny curve, it's gone insane. And let's say that here, holding Control, I want it to really snap into that thing. And this is how we make little bounce effects. So to make a bounce effect, first we've got to click this little bake key, which gives us a keyframe for every single frame. Now the smooth feature, if you drag it to the right, it smooths with a nice physics smooth. But if you drag it to the left, it creates a bounce, which looks something like that. Oh, nice. And we can adjust the tension of the bounce and the dampening. So reducing the dampening will mean go for longer. Increasing the tension will mean it'll be a bit springier. So let's try. Okay, we need to select all the keyframes now. We can either do it by dragging a square around it, or if you open up here, there's a little checkbox that selects all the keyframes for you. And now you'll see we get a really wiggly bounce, like jelly. Loving it. What else do we want to keyframe? We can also keyframe our lights with a little diamond over here. And we can turn on our lights, and let's say we want to move it over here. But actually I want to move it over here on this frame, and if I click on it, it's gonna pop back to that location where I wanted it first. So the little trick is if you middle click on it on the timeline, it doesn't change anything. You can just change the frame you're on, and then we can keyframe the light, giving us that curve over here and the moving light. What else would we like to key? We can key absolutely anything. Glows as well. Bring in a little glow as this happens. Maybe we'd want the glow and not to see this at the moment. We just want to see the glow. And you see it's not working here, and that's because this is a linear frame, and linear frames and Bezier frames don't mix. Cool. Of course, this glow is a little too tight. We want that glow. Bam! Nice. Very important is the fit view that shows you all your keys. If you only want to zoom in on a few, you can use the fit selection, which will zoom in on these keys. If we've got a whole bunch of keys at different ranges and we want to animate them together, you can turn on normalize, which maps them all from 0 to 1. And this gives you a very clear view of what's going on, like why did the lights have this thing over here? Also, holding Alt allows you to move around the canvas, and with right click to zoom out and zoom in. You can also scroll on the timeline here, scrub it around, and resize it that way. In terms of the camera, let's try something different. We could of course just key the camera here and key the camera here and get our camera moving. But let's undo that. Let's rather key the camera and turn on record mode and move into fly mode using the tab button. And let's hit play and fly into this. Now I've got the recording of my camera motion, which is a little bit janky to say the least. So let's select all these keyframes. Okay, you can shift click to select all the channels, and we can do the same thing. We can add the bakery mesh and add a bit of smoothing, which will make our camera motion nice and smooth. Now it's not moving because I've still got record mode on, which doesn't move, doesn't let the camera move. So now I've got a nice smooth motion of our fly through, or rather lame for a fly through. That's how you can record parameters, and of course you can also record parameters. Where are they? The modulators. So we can have a little modulator that's modulating Z twist. And if we put a keyframe here, replay it. Oh wait, we turn on record modulation and replay it. Then we can turn off the modulator, and that gets recorded too. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Let's look at this Z twist, and you see it's a little dirty. It's because my frame rate is slow, because my graphics cards are 2070. So again, we can just bake it, smooth a little bit, and it looks great. Another little trick is we can hold control here to change our keys organically and destructively. So you can really get any sort of motion you want. Now what if we don't want this camera motion? Let's just go back to the dope sheet and hit the little trash icon on all the channels. Camera motion should be gone. Pretty interesting looking animation. One thing that's been requested is duplication. So I'll double the length back up, and let's say our formula with this wiggle, we want to duplicate it. Now we got hundreds of ways to duplicate it. We can take this Z twist and we can add post behavior. We've got ping pong to reverse it infinitely. Let's really actually lengthen this all the way so that your animation can just keep going. Offset loop is also interesting. It'll offset the loop to your start position every time. And if you need more looping options, you can select some keyframes. We'd want to copy it and paste it here. You can duplicate it like that. You can select these and loop them a few times, and maybe it's time to render. So in our render settings, let's add some blurs. We can crank up the blur. We can pick a focus point where you want it. Anyway, what you can see now with the blur, now that the blur is on, is that it stays grainy. And especially if we turn the samples quality down low, it stays grainy. If we crank it up high, you can see this little bar fills up, showing us how long until our samples reaches its max. You can drag on this number if you want it really high, if you want to really get it as smooth as can be. Now you see it's taking 5 seconds a frame, which is going to take forever. So I'll just crank it till it's sort of comfortable, maybe around here. We can add extra anti-aliasing, which will basically double the size of the image. I'm not going to do that right now. And usually you want to crank your bitrate up about, depending how big your resolution is, which we can pick from here. And if you want any custom resolution, just set it to screen resolution, and in the quality tab pick fixed, and that'll give you any size that you like. You can enter it here, and you can get the smallest of images, or if you like from here, you can just pick an aspect ratio like the social, and you can crank it to the size you like, because it's using our screen, not our viewport. You want the viewport, pick it there, and then we get the exact image that we wanted. So I hope you enjoyed it, and please get into more GMTs.